the Arthlon could get around the back and get that Prismat kill. Game 1 goes to HeroesHearth Esports. For Game 2, we head to Volskaya Foundry, chosen by Octalysis, though a map we know there's a lot of comfort for HeroesHearth on.
Yeah, there is definitely comfort galore here, and it could be in the form of a Hanzo, it could be in the form of a Jaina, it could be in the form of a Johanna, Diablo, you name it, they can run it basically on all fronts, whether it's a Zeratul, which we saw them play at Midseason Brawl. Anything is on the table for them, and I think that they have a lot of tools here to deal with it. The Phoenix we've been seeing rise in priority. Hammer, by the way, this was one of her better battlegrounds when we first saw her enter. Saw it game number 1, maybe something to consider here in game 2 as well.
HeroesHearth, this is one of 2 battlegrounds for them where they have shown their 2 different combos that we've seen thus far from them in Phase 2, using the Task Tracer, Diablo, and then Thrall. It's this and Towers where you see those, but then changing that back up and then going back into their standard, by the books, Johanna and Blaze. On this map, it was a Phoenix behind it. On Towers of Doom, it was the Jaina. Sky Temple, we also saw the Johanna Jaina was also pretty good. Yeah,
there's just so much to fear from this team. Again, we see some teams, they go all in. They're like, we got to pair all of our heroics together to get kills. And HeroesHearth has said, we don't even need them. We just look good with them. And they make those combos happen, whether it's through the setup of Roots, the Condemn, the Jaina, it doesn't matter. They can find it in every form or fashion. Basic abilities or heroic abilities, they get it.
And Ishbu has only played 2 tanks the entirety of Phase 2, Diablo, but then Johanna, and one conspicuously absent warrior from what Octalysis has played with all that flexibility is Johanna.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Garrosh.
Well, no.
Maybe. Oh, he has played.
Yeah, Jesse played 1 game.
He's played almost everything.
But not Johanna.
Why is that?
So if Octalysis is not wanting to play that because it's not fitting to their style of play that they would like to, HeroesHearth just gets that for free. And I feel like that is just such a big setup for HeroesHearth. And not having to worry about that is... Is this a hammer?
Normally we see Genji banned out before we see Chromie banned out, but this could be mind games.
It could just be Chromie anyway because
it's Prismat. Yeah.
Oh, just hit my mic. Sorry about that.
I think that has to cross your mind, potentially Hammer in that 2-3 rotation for HeroesHearth, unless Octalysis wants to pick it up early. But again, the Johanna in particular, the Yrel, we saw high priority from Octalysis last game. I think this is another map where she does do well on in that high priority. I think her impact is there. It's not necessarily always obvious, but holding a point is always good.
HeroesHearth has not shown any Genji play, though, again, he's banned a lot of games, a whole lot of games. It feels like the Tracer suits them a lot more, and that might be something that Octalysis is sitting and trying to consider. Also, the Hanzo, it's a pretty good hero for Crowan.
I'm totally cool with that. And again, when Hammer is going to be picked, the Hanzo does give you the added range. And to me, it's, again, the level 4 talent that it was alluding to with Rich, to get that extra 2 attack range just by killing a minion right beside you, which is insta-kill. Playing into that hammer, I mean, you've basically taken away 2 hammers and you didn't have to even do one of them. Just saying.
So what then for HeroesHearth? Joe, Blaze, Joe. There you go. This just sets up for many different things that HeroesHearth want. Whether it's Jaina, whether it's Johanna Blaze together, sturdy frontline. It's a lot of options there. Octalysis has been liking Yrel, but they'll steal the Blaze away and then move back into Sergeant Hammer.
Well, again, you have effectively taken away 2 of the best counters that we saw from Tempo Storm in the previous series. And Chromie being banned out by HeroesHearth, maybe they've got a plan in mind. I mean, so it's not always about the hammer, it's just there's a high priority on the hammer. And if you don't kill the hammer, it's like, you know, focus hammer, focus medic. Which...
That's not.
Probably isn't happening.
I mean, if you want a full Terran team, you're well on your way.
Who's the other ranged?
Raynor. Tychus.
Oh, I'm cool with Jimmy.
Okay. Octalysis probably wouldn't be, but they are our most flexible team right now, so maybe. So then, they already have blinds for Johanna. It could go right back into a Tracer here. Tracer Mouth.
The Jaina, if you go the extra range. So they're not going to commit just yet.
Yeah.
We need more time to figure this
I like
out.
taking the Deckard away from Hammer is nice because his Scroll of Sealing, Stay a While and Listen is such a good protection for Sergeant Hammer.
We've got a guy in the back, loves to play him some Chen. Tries to tell me that Chen is a good option for Hammer.
Why, because you keg her back in?
Oh, yeah, you just get on there.
There's many different ways you can draw in a Hammer, though.
Yeah, but
Like,
isn't it cooler to sit back there, press Q, and then just sit on her exhaust and drink? Hold on, I'll attack you in a second. I'll be right with you. Just don't go anywhere. Hammer's like, okay.
well, you've already got some interrupts there, so I don't think that's going to be a thing. Especially because Joanna and you're already a thing.
I know.
Yeah.
Take away the
That'll
Genji
do.
dive.
Yeah. This is a good setup for the Hammer. A lot of what you would take away has been neutralized.
Just the fact that I know that Arthlon still has a hero to pick, I just expect anything.
Mm-hmm.
Jaina seems a little bit more likely, I think, just for the extra poke range. Maybe a Junkrat, but you still need a lot more damage than a Junkrat. Tracer, again, is scary. I don't think you can Tracer TAS into that with this composition.
You know,
I don't think you have the damage.
You know who gets range?
It's probably a guy that's right behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that who you were thinking?
Who gets range when he finishes his trait? This old Jin.
I'm like looking at you and
You
there's a
can't
troll.
die
like,
if you're Tazdingo. You just go in. At Tazdingo, you have a Monty Rage base now. Take her out, and then you're fine, right?
Stack for days against the blaze. That's the new motto.
We've got one him out, hook him out, and stack it for days. Win against the blaze. That's not who I was talking about. Thrall ban for Heroes Hearth now. And what does Octalysis get for safety? We've seen a lot of Diablo on this map.
I mean, Diablo and Murden, I think Murden is the safe play. It gives you the somewhat control. You can stay on a point, but as we saw last game, that Murden got absolutely
Burned.
blasted.
Yeah.
Does that also beg the question of, do you need a cleanse against this composition? Because Heroes Hearth was the team that will blow up the front. It doesn't matter if you're a frontline or not. The Blessed Shield into a Ring of Frost blow up comp is very much a threat. And so do you need the cleanse? Mouth is here. He does take care of roots,
Yeah,
but
I love the Diablo. I am pumped for the Diablo. And then Malfurion, you gotta have some sort of sustained heals around those points. Nature's Cure should be able to help. All right. Digging it.
okay. Here's the counter. I mean, Johanna's nice, Uriel is nice, but they're not the ones necessarily killing the Hammer. They can set it up. Who's going to be the executioner? Is it Jaina? Is it a little bit of Junkrat action? Is it a little Tazdingo action? Probably.
I'm wondering if you can circumvent the Hammer by just trying to focus someone on the front line. And so then I'm
Diablo's squishy
thinking
early.
Yeah, so, well, I'm also thinking of somebody who has more percent-based damage
Tychus.
to cut through both of those. That is
Tychus has a
good.
secondary damage dealer, not the primary.
Oh yeah, they're gonna get 2 here unless they get another support, which I doubt. So it'd be like Tychus something.
Keep it simple.
Yep.
That's the Blessed Shield, Ring of Frost. Jaina blow him up. Planet Cracker potentially combo.
Planet Cracker or Salvo with the slows. Either of them work great.
So another damage dealer needed for Octalysis, unless they just... is this where the Zeratul comes in? I mean, you're not necessarily killing the front line of this if you VP the back. I mean, I'm hoping you got an answer.
I know, I'm trying, I'm digging. Maybe.
Draded
I just,
on LFM played a mean gray man, who we have been saying that name a little bit as of late.
I don't know. Versus this, it's just a mouth to back you up. Feels like you would want something that is gonna be on your own. Maev. Similar.
It does give you the dive into the backline.
Yeah.
You can manipulate the backline by pulling them with the tethers and then really kind of bringing them into it. Again, damage-wise, it doesn't really stack up as much. Sergeant Hammer is a lot of poke, but it's not a lot of instant blow-up.
Right.
So Maiev does have a lot to do if you want to get the reset on those Phantom Knives.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as like follow-up damage to blow up someone from a Warden's Cage, I almost... Is there any world where this is Containment Disc? I try to separate some of the combo.
I don't, I mean, Yrel has 2 lives.
Yeah.
Johanna, Iron Skin can walk away from most things. Deckard, even if you contain him, can you take down a Phoenix or a Jaina in that amount of time with that amount of protection from a Johanna who just responds with Blessed Shield? It's tough. It's super tough.
Well, they had a whole lot at their disposal, and this is what they chose.
Go.
I think they would have liked the Thrall more, but with it banned, find out how the Maiev works out for them.
Draded Maiev will be the pickup here, leaving Prismat on that hammer. Everything else pretty standard. Diablo is still trying to figure out what build he wants to go here at level 1.
There was some Feast on Fear earlier today.
There was.
And we've seen some deviation away from globe talents on this map, just because you're fighting for so long around the control point, not always going to guarantee get him. So here it's the Spell Shield. Soul Shield.
Well, Crone is going to go into that long-range poke build, so that does give him a little bit to move in towards the Sergeant Hammer. Curious, though, if it'll be full poke build. A lot of times, if you do go into that, with the piercing at level 4, it's generally paired with a Malfurion, so you get some mana back. Obviously, Rejuve Potion is a thing for Deckard, although it is not common at all.
Yeah, a lot more of either the Ruby or the Potion of Shielding.
So there's issue number 1. That was a great engagement, but no damage. And I look at the health bars of Buds and Justin, and I would say that they traded out negative.
Yeah, Diablo struggles versus slows, as with a lot of the tanks that are just trying to move on to somebody to get an engage. And they're slows for both Phoenix and Jaina. That's why they're such a good combo. So, first instance of that, but things get easier when he is on the point, as long as Diablo can start to build up some of those souls, which is why it's important that he doesn't die during this time before the first control point, so we can build up to be as tanky as possible.
Well, both teams pick up their turrets at almost identical times, and you know, as you had pointed out in our previous series, a lot of these teams will make that rotation up towards that healing pulse, the support camp. Johanna does have a little bit more control over those, but again, the sieging potential, Goku on that point, on the Blaze, does make it a little bit different. And Yrel, we've seen the knockback already have a major impact around that, most notably Zuna on that boss on Towers of Doom in the first series.
There's a lot of sieging for Octalysis, but while they're still trying to build up souls and keep up, I don't know how far they'd be willing to engage into the Johanna, Jaina, and Deckard Cain too, and his zone control that he has if they truly get into a big fight. But it feels like for the most part, neither of them is really setting their hearts onto getting that heal pulse just yet. It's a lot more about keeping up with the lanes, making sure that you're keeping up with the soak, and having a good setup for this first control point.
We'll be active here in about 25 seconds. Both teams will be trying to use those camps to push that top lane, force out a response from one to the other. Diablo, however, has come over here to start the point, recognizing that HeroesHearth did have a late rotation out towards their camp. They still had eyes on them in the lane, so made that decision somewhat okay, but with Johanna showing up, they're just going to go ahead and back away.
Crone's build has emphasized being able to stick around these fights longer on the point, because he's picked up Arcane Intellect. What that means is there's no pierce, so it is a possibility that Octalysis can tank that Frostbolt so that they can't get the slows on to Prismaticism as easily. Throw back in, Ishbu rooted as he would like to step out.
And no Blaze here just yet, unable to make it up. Cams will be counter pushing in the top. Still contested here, nobody gaining control just yet as Ishbu's holding on. You can see that giant circle there from Prismat is keeping every inch of this locked down. Control finally obtained here by Octalysis.
Last time we saw HeroesHearth play on Volskaya Foundry, they were willing to give up the first protector and ensure that they could defend it with everybody, and then where they came online was the second. Actually, that was the first game in Phase 2 that they played on Volskaya, but either way, this is a team that seems to be patient with understanding when their team synergy and their composition comes online.
Justine trying to make room with Ishbu on there. Arthlon moving forward, no shield here as he's looking to put quite a bit of damage out, but Octalysis is still in control at the moment. HeroesHearth trying to make sure to send this to overtime or gain control themselves.
I like this tank combo so much more from Octalysis with this Sergeant Hammer. Prismatis is constantly mating back and forth. Justin gets the throw back while Goku goes in with a jet propulsion that nearly claims the life of Arthalon, but a heal back up. And he'll survive, but undoubtedly that affords Octalysis the protector. And now it's a matter of getting something done with it.
Well, you said familiar territory when you referenced that first objective in game number 1. The last time that you said HeroesHearth was on this battleground, also lost that first protector but came back. Not nearly as condemning as we've used to seeing. And again, this is kind of a newer strategy where you don't necessarily need that mid-fort wall. It's a matter of taking as much as you can out of the top entirely. They've got a wave moving in. Hammer will be here. So prioritizing not just the wall and the well anymore. This has now become prioritizing the entire fort itself.
Think how much space that gives to Octalysis to play over the next control point too if they can get this fort down, and they're doing a great job, but they're likely to lose Goku for it. He gets a little bit of self-healing, but it's also more about getting the slows down, running away from the cutter, warping in, and that'll be the end of Dear Goku.
It was also the end of that top fort, so they did get quite a bit done. You said, hey, you need to get it. They got it. Unfortunately, they lost a little bit in the other place, but they still end up trading out okay there by getting that top fort. Gives them a lot of breathing room in that top lane, as you were mentioning, and I think that's a lot of control. It's the new way we're seeing this map approach. That mid lane not nearly as highly prioritized with that XP distribution now more into that fort.
All right, it's about setting yourself up for success the next time around, the next protector. But HeroesHearth are still in a good position, like they've done so many times before, right in line with where they need to be in experience so that they can get the contest over that next protector, that next control point. For them, something has to change, something has to be able to allow them to get into the point, into the range of Sergeant Hammer, maybe get onto that Sergeant Hammer herself. And we'll see what heroic abilities let them do that as they pick them up.
Well, Justin, there's going to be the Lightning Breath going out. Planet Cracker in response, starting to rip through that health bar, getting picked apart. So you see the Ardent Defender on the backside. Drated, however, trying to make some action happen on the Maiev. Ishbu, however, getting low. He's going to be the first to fall. There's going to be the big scroll to Lornado. Not enough, not in time. Octalysis takes the skirmish, takes the healing pulse.
That is the effect of a fully stacked Diablo sitting on that point and Lightning Breath. It's cool to see the Lornado here from Deckard Cain, because if you try to stay a while and listen and he's already Lightning Breath, he's just going to keep going because you're unstoppable with that. So instead he can try to draw people away from the Diablo and then just wreak havoc for Team Octalysis and then try to take him down. It didn't work that time, but if they can bring him down eventually, then it'll be a lot easier in the future with Souls, and especially easier if they can catch a Buds out.
Gilly, that setup though by McIntyre coming in from the flank to knock him into that scroll was so well done, and then Arthlon, of course, going divert powers, like drop shields, do damage, let's go. Able to do that. You know, I also got to take note of Kron has been ripping out the damage. Already 12,000 out of the 15,000 required towards his ice block, and that can be such a key thing for early in the game. Generally, you don't see it this early in the game, but Kron has been quite efficient landing that target on those chill targets to build that up.
I thought Drated did a pretty good job in the last fight too. It was purely about just a diversion off on the side, scaring enough. That'll change though once that ice block is done, at least for Jaina. But Phoenix having warp, as long as he can get that off. Deckard Cain is of course a target for that too, but just about causing enough of a distraction so that he can draw some of the resources away from Diablo, whoever tends to be the focus from HeroesHearth. But it's not Blessed Shield and the Ring of Frost this time. Planet Cracker is still there, but it is more the water elemental, which is what we normally see from Crowan.
Well, if we can get the chokes with that Lornado into a tight choke where you could conceivably be here and get a Planet Cracker right down there, keeps you in that beam a little bit longer. But either way, Justine and Ishbu, the tanks manning the point here. A little bit of control over in favor of Octalysis, but not enough to turn that in their favor. At HeroesHearth, however, they're going to deal with this camp. And they'll get started 13 almost here, and then Octalysis, I think, will look to return. HeroesHearth, as you look at the minimap, you're all in the bot lane doing her best to soak. Jaina obviously pathing as well as Justine moves forward. HeroesHearth, they'll get 13, look to re-engage.
Octalysis sends Goku bot. This is going to be a moment, which is why HeroesHearth has backed off. They've gotten the initial channel. They can use that Jaina and Urel to get their turret. And then much like we saw Tempo Storm do, where they get a lot of these turrets and fortifications, then they get back on and get the not only team fight win, but the protector, and then get a lot of sieging done because you've taken down some people and you're starting to get into the higher respawn times.
Here we go. This is going to be the fight over the second protector. Octalysis has got the first one. They're going to see if they can get the second. Justine going to back off the point again. It's control now contested here. Octalysis moving forward cautiously with this approach, waiting to see if Draded can make something happen, but do not want to get caught in the chokes because the scroll there, Goku forced the jet propulsion out, the scroll there, the Lornado potential setup in these chokes, and this one is one of the chokiest points we can have, if that's a word.
Yeah, this is a much harder spot for a hammer too. Prismaticism, you can't cover as much area because you're more forced into a corner, otherwise you're on the point, and that's a little too close for comfort.
Devastating charge was picked up, so that's 2 stacks now. There's going to be the Warden's Cage. McIntyre eating some damage, but there's the Planet Cracker, as well as the Lornado, unable to lock anybody in there. Water Elemental low on health, so retreating with that is Crowan, looking for the re-engage. Control almost back over here to Octalysis. It is climbing back up, trying to get to that 100%. To get here, HeroesHearth, they're going to have to re-engage one more time.
Now they still have Blessed and Ardent Defender, so they have one more case of being able to use this. Arthalon putting in the damage at the back line. Ice Block used by Crowan as the Blunt Force gun makes its way through, and it's enough damage to take out Johanna. Octalysis want more. Jet propulsion in. Draded gets into a spot, looking to see if he can tether back in McIntyre, who jumps away. The second protector, and this is much different than what we saw in the last game because Octalysis now gets a second objective in a row, and they can look to do a whole lot more with it.
A lot of it is Justine and his engages. He engaged onto Crowan that last fight, going in. Again, devastating charge, so strong. He's also fully stacked. It's terrifying when he gets in there. Again, Crowan did finish that ice block time. I think it's the only thing that saved his life. So that work that he did earlier saved him in that fight. Unfortunately, not the same for Ishbu. Octalysis now looking to take down mid-fort. They're going to rotate to the bot lane. Next control point down there, as they're starting to try and build their lead off of these structures and also even it up, making that control point a little bit easier to fight into.
Goku goes mid, takes out that fort. That gives them a healthy experience advantage, but it's about the 16-2. They have 30 seconds left with this protector as they're looking at clearing out this wave so they can get it closer to this fort and do the same thing that they did with the last protector. Open up the lane where the next protector is going to be.
The minion waves are moving in. They took a little bit of damage before they got there, but those are being cleared out by McIntyre and Team Prismat trying to siege up as well. There's going to be the root. He's going to use the Unstoppable, dodge the Blizzard, get on out of there with only a few seconds left on this protector and only 1% of health left. They're going to go. Lornado's going to finish the job, seeing if they could catch them as the protector exploded.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to see is when a Stitches tries to hook people out of the protector. And Deckard Cain tried to see if he could Lornado someone out of it. We're going to see Blaze come down. This is really important to Octalysis that they can get this fort.
What we're going to see going in, so Domination picked up to try and double up on that devastating charge and build that up and do that damage. This is going to be a place where Justine, he already has shown he's doing the damage on the Diablo. He's taking some damage right there. Goku comes in for a little bit of support. Lightning Breath in response as McIntyre dives right in.
Lightning Breath took him down to about half health. The Blaze. Planet Cracker wanted to take out the bunker.
Devastating charge. There goes Ishbu in trouble. Ishbu's going to be the first to fall. Tranquility keeping them alive, and now they're going to move forward here. They have 1 minion left to eat this, but the damage is so significant. And without that Johanna, they don't have their protection. This is an opportunity for Hammer and team to move forward and open up a potential win condition here. This is going to allow them. They're going to get the turret on one side. Sergeant Hammer is going to start sieging down this lane, and if they get the next protector, can start to threaten that keep. So huge opportunity here for Octalysis.
J-Hal, these fights have been so interesting because it's less about getting a ton of kills with something like a double reset and more of just about getting a kill on the right target. Is it Buds? Is it Ishbu? Now they're looking at McIntyre. Now that his Ardent Defender is down, he has to dive out, and they avoid the Lornado.
Octalysis seemingly starting to have more and more control. There's only 5 kills on this, but Gilly, these skirmishes have been long. They have been strong, and these teams, they're down to get it on. Right now, they're going to focus the healing pulse here as Octalysis will likely have another fight here as Lightning Breath is out. McIntyre going in there. The Tether's going to try and keep control. Justine, however, being poked down. The souls are now gone. McIntyre able to leap out in time. The bunker is there, but I think Octalysis has to retreat. Ice Block going to dodge the root. They're in trouble. Tranquility's out.
Tranquility's out. McIntyre's stuck now. Doesn't have Ardent Defender, and that trades out the kill. Just when it thought Octalysis might be losing ground, getting the kill, they're still willing to battle bitterly for this heal pulse. And the Planet Cracker is going to do somewhat, but Justine is back. Justine finds that Phoenix, takes him down. Doesn't matter if he doesn't have enough souls. That'll give him some souls.
He says, you take my soul, I'm taking your life. He comes in there and gets that instant devastating charge. He's only sitting at 16 souls, but again, the devastating charge finished at level 13, going to domination, able to kind of ping pong people around now, and his impact was felt. Control point 10 seconds away. We've seen teams in the past, Gilly, try and use this opportunity. Again, the same way that Tempo Storm kind of reloaded on things. Teams will just split lanes, soak as much as they can, and race towards 20. When they get 20 or near 20, that's when they re-engage. Octalysis, seeing that that might be a little bit too far out, they're going to hold point for now and see if they can just control this while Phoenix just now respawning.
Yeah, this is the point for Heroes Hearth to fight. They don't have that Planet Cracker for Phoenix for 45 more seconds, but they can still bring it down anyway.
Octalysis backing out. No use risking it. Blaze just now making his way down. The fights have been in favor of Octalysis so far. Camps will be pushing against each other in that top lane, so nobody's going to win out in that department. But again, 20 is closer here for Octalysis, but at any given moment, this could change. Again, Diablo sitting on only 30 souls. A lot tankier. A lot less tanky.
Yeah, and he's stuck. He's in a really bad spot with this conveyor belt. Buzz is to come in Tranquility. He's slowed down by the Water Elemental. McIntyre and Arthlon are not letting up on this. Now they turn it on to Buzz. And he's going to Ice Block, but that is not going to save his life, but just prolong the inevitable. That focus on Justine. Justine wanted to go in and see if the setup was there, but the second he got on that conveyor belt, he never was going to be let off of it.
You say conveyor belt, but the minute he turned around, that ended up being a treadmill because he's like, man, I am not outrunning this bad boy.
Yeah, that was a park ride he did not want to be on.
Well, now we see again, close to 20 as Octalysis, but Heroes Hearth will have an opportunity to get back into this game as the Protector seemingly going to go over to their side. It will be before 20, but Arthlon and them are trying to make sure that that comes a little bit quicker. Prismat going to be rooted there by the scroll with the Protector coming here. Heroes Hearth, see how much they can make happen into that. Prismat, thrusters out. He's fine.
Just saying hello to Prismat, seeing if they could get that kill there. That stagger death would have been horrendous for Octalysis, but Prismat was fine. He knew he had thrusters. I'm gonna see Goku start to make his way down and set up in the flank position. But with the Protector, it's difficult. Nice job by Urel to soak up to 20 so that Heroes Hearth have this Storm Talents in time for this push. And we're gonna see a swap out, putting the more squishy targets inside of the Protector.
Well, Prismat's in trouble. The Gunner ended up going, Justine ended up using the Lightning Breath to buy a little bit of room. That Protector was locked in and loaded on Prismat. He's healed up, he's going in. Protector sitting at about 50% health, but so is the Keep, and they're going in, trying to finish this Keep right now.
Dive hit Ishbu. The Protector's taking a lot of damage, but Goku almost died using that bunker and the armor that it gives to stay alive. Just waited that out. Rue comes back in on Buds. He has to ice block to avoid the charge from the Protector.
Well, the damage in return has been so significant. The Protector wants this keep, but they're going to end up losing the Protector. Justin looking to reinitiate. There's going to be the domination, but the knockback is going to save the life of one of the members of them. Justin not able to get onto Arthlon, taking quite a bit of damage. The fight rages on.
Yeah, that was a ton of damage for free. Justin still doesn't have his lightning breath. Now Blaze has gone down. And with that, HeroesHearth smells blood in the water, hits the slow, hits the heal reduction, takes out the Diablo. Arthlon does take some damage from that Treant, but he still has his unconquered spirit. And Octalysis are fighting for their lives in a game that was controlled for them throughout almost the entirety of the game. Now they're trying to protect their core.
They are. Ishbu going in. They do take down Prisman. That looks like it's going to be enough. 70% and falling on the side of Octalysis. HeroesHearth coming in the clutch. There's the unconquered spirit. The spray goes down, and that is all she wrote. Here as HeroesHearth goes up 2-0.
Feels like in these series, though, teams like LFM, Octalysis, Team Freedom can hang with HeroesHearth for any amount of the game, whether it's the early game, whether it's all the way. I think it was LFM that got to 4-4 in core health and Towers of Doom. The discipline that HeroesHearth has picked up as a team that is our longest standing roster within North America, that has gone and been a top 8 team in the world, is just far too strong to actually close out a game against them.
The Maiev pick made sense. You could see the damage numbers, though. However, it's so difficult to get that type of damage to go into that style of team without being punished. And Maiev, the roots, or excuse me, the tethers were there. There were some good Warden's Cage, so that part of the play was there. But getting damage out of Maiev is much more difficult than meets the eye, and I think that's a big problem with that. Again, playing with the Blaze there, you have that added protection, but you don't have any additional damage, and you could see it ended up paying there as much control as they had when it came to those late game team fights. They had nowhere near the amount of damage needed to get through that, and that was very, very good fight. And I got a question again. There are teams that when they are on the brink of 19 going, trying to race towards 20, they will simply push another lane, get 20, force the advantage, and then come down and fight. Yes, it's a long distance, especially because you had the lane so far pushed out, but I feel there might have been an opportunity. Timing was questionable, but they took a fight sitting on 19.5, ended up getting picked just in there. Buds followed up, and from then it just started to spiral out of control.
And I do want to take this back to drafting a little bit too, because HeroesHearth are not playing anything new except the Urel, which is the new hero, right? They're playing things that we saw a lot of at the mid-season brawl, and it's still working out for them really well, whereas we're seeing Octalysis try to find adjustments around, now bringing in their Sergeant Hammer too, and though I think that was a much better Sergeant Hammer game from them, the Maiev maybe not quite fitting into them how they would like, but also part of that again was execution. So we'll see what they can now, over this commercial break, do to try to figure out how to get a game off of HeroesHearth, because otherwise HeroesHearth is going to send them packing 3-0. We'll be back soon with more from the HGC.